Less thinking, more clarity. Clarity is not achieved by thinking more, but by consciously breathing into that uncomfortable feeling, the unknown. And my confidence to train you to do that comes from results, my testimonials, and my course reviews. We're in the middle of a meta crisis, and I'm sure you feel it too. A convergence of social, political, technological, and economic upheavals that have fundamentally altered the way we process our thinking and our feelings, our perception, as well as how we relate to one another. However, there are three simple things that can support how we respond to what we feel in this meta crisis. The first one is understand yourself. The more you know about how your own biological system operates, the more you understand yourself. It makes sense. The second one is to recognize. Recognize the physiological shift that makes you act the way you do. It is not about feeling guilty or trying to be better. Recognizing your body and mind states because you know who you are while having the opportunity to change it. You get to recognize your own potential. The third one is to consciously breathe into that moment, to expand your feeling of calmness, even though it feels the opposite. In that act of not thinking but acting on your body's reactivity, something starts to change inside of you. You are consciously changing physiological states. You conquer the uncomfortable feeling of the unknown by what I call hacking your emotions. You understand yourself well enough to recognize what, when, where, and who triggers your body's reaction to act in the moment on your own behalf with clear mindset. That's leading. For that reason, I focus on leaders like you. So this training is for you if you're a corporate leader, an entrepreneur, or a professional who makes decisions under pressure and want to do so with confidence and speed. You feel doubt, your mental overload, or self-sabotage preventing you from acting with certainty in key moments. You're interested in neuroscience, emotional regulation, and mental strategies to improve your decision making. You want practical, proven methods to transform confusion into clarity in minutes without endless analysis. However, this training is not for you if you're looking for a magical formula without being willing to change how you process decisions. You believe clarity only comes from more data and analysis without considering emotional and bodily intelligence. So, if this information resonates with you, then I invite you to take on one of the 8 slots for the next training to make faster, accurate decisions in real time over. And because I don't really know when are you going to be watching this webinar or if I still have slots available to offer you, I'm placing a button below so you can book a discovery call with me. It is a good way to check that the next training is a good fit for you. And if by the end of this video you believe that this training can help you gain the calm state you're looking for, think clearly, book the discovery session with me and learn how this could apply to you. Before I show you how you can gain more clarity, let me take you through my own journey. Before I realized that I needed a new approach. I love physical exercise, and it's a great way to clear my mind. But in working short periods, I still found myself overthinking and feeling anxious afterwards. Then I turned to coaching, but instead of gaining clarity, I felt even more and more overwhelmed, trapped in that endless cycle of self-improvement. And that's when I realized that self-improvement doesn't necessarily bring my body into a calm state. So I needed a way to consciously talk the language of my body, especially through the meta crisis. I needed a protocol to activate a calm state at will. And most leaders have experienced coaching at work. You know this. This is a problem because the primary client of a business coach is the company, not the individual. And as a result, business coaching becomes the tool for making decisions on behalf of the company. And this creates pressure, self-improvement, excessive information and analysis, all the things that block creativity. Stress levels goes up and innovation goes down. So instead, this protocol do things differently. It goes beyond the mind, so you can truly understand yourself, which is the first pillar of hacking your emotions. Understand is to know with precision what is happening inside of you, around you, and in relationships between you and others. Understanding how your body works for you is what supports a state of clarity, so that you can act with certainty in any situation. Like Mariela, who mastered her emotions by pursuing a career despite self doubt. And I can hear you. I don't believe you. I prefer rational solutions. Well, decision making is not 100% rational. Neuroscience has proven that every decision has an emotional component. Even Wall Street's investors use intuition alongside data to make decisions. A study by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio showed that people with damage in the brain area responsible for processing emotions were unable to make decisions, even though the logical reasoning was intact. Without emotional connection, logical analysis becomes useless. If decisions were purely logical, you could just make a pros and cons list and be done. But in reality, you still hesitate, overanalyze, and procrastinate, proving that the problem isn't lack of information, but lack of connection to your internal clarity. And if you think, no, I don't think changing my emotional state will help me to make better decisions. Your emotional state influences decision quality more than you realize. When you're stressed or anxious, your brain switches into survival, making you think short term instead of strategically. Neuroscience research shows that prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible of rational decision making, disconnects under high stress or pressure. So if you don't control your emotional state, you're making decisions with a caveman brain, not a strategic brain. Have you ever sent an email or made a business decision out of anger or fear, only to regret it later? That's what happens when your emotional state takes over without you realizing it. When we can understand who we are in a moment, we can recognize the potential for quietness. To recognize, you must listen with all your senses. To do nothing but to recognize. What is common is to focus on solving immediate problems and putting out daily fires. And this is a problem because all mental and emotional energy gets consumed in a constant crisis, instead of being used for strategic decision making. As a result, we get stuck in a cycle of stress and exhaustion, where reaction to problems is more common than preparing for them. Success is planned. Without recognizing, our leadership capacity gets compromised, and it is easier to make rush decisions and to sacrifice personal well-being for short-term productivity. Instead, I teach you to shift from a reactive state to real-time clarity, so that you can recognize your emotional state before stress takes over, so that you can make strategic decisions without fear of mistakes and ultimately lead with certainty and confidence in any situation. Like Carlos, a creative entrepreneur, he used to collapse under pressure, but now recognizes how to prepare for important decisions without stress. And I can hear you. If I stop recognize how I feel, I become too sensitive or vulnerable. Recognizing your internal state doesn't make you weak. It makes you strategic. Being aware of your state doesn't mean being controlled by it. It means knowing when to push forward and when to pause for optimal decision making. A Wall Street negotiator who ignores his emotions may act impulsively and take unnecessary risks. A negotiator who recognizes his anxiety can neutralize it and make decisions with precision and calculation. High-level leaders don't avoid their emotions. They use them as a strategic advantage. The third pillar of the protocol is what I call hacking your emotions. It is the moment you consciously choose to grow out your old skin. No thinking, pure clarity. We already manage large amount of information and we must process it fast before making decisions. And that's the problem, because excessive analysis leads to hesitation, procrastination, and in many cases, missing key opportunities. Each decision becomes a massive mental burden, creating insecurity and emotional exhaustion. Indecision becomes a habit, and then we're at risk of losing direction and we feel less authentic. I know because I have been there. So instead, I teach you how to act on your best behalf, moment by moment, making small steps into secure roads for you to inform your decision making without relying on over-analysis. So you can identify truly relevant information and gain the clarity you need to make decisions. So you can break free from the cycle of doubt and act with certainty in any situations, trusting your judgment without mental exhaustion. Like my client Joseph, he used to complain about how difficult it was for him to find quietness. But now he commits 5 minutes here and there in his busy schedule to what he calls feel what I feel, without the fear of wasting time. Managing stress is not the same as accessing real-time clarity. Lowering stress after a chaotic day doesn't help you really when you need to make a difficult decision in the moment. Look, a surgeon in the middle of an operation doesn't wait until the end to manage stress. He regulates his state in real time to stay focused and make precise decisions. The same applies to leadership. It's not about reducing stress after the fact, is acting with clarity in the moment. If you believe that hacking your emotions can help you stay calm in high pressure moments, click in the button below to book the session with me and see how this can apply to your situation. See you there.